Well, hello everyone. You made me 25 here in Taipei for portfolios change. It's like for the good backup plan. And this right here is like, yeah, that I can maybe talk about this, most of it all evening, all day, whichever. But on your hand, that I also want to add in is that, with the backup plan, is that, if any student that may want to, where one of the important things, of course, about putting together portfolios would be is like, that to make sure that to plan things ahead of time, such as any important files and documents, and just like if it was going to be like maybe a anything related to insurance cards or anything like that, anything in importance that we think that can be used for later on. So even though if we may think that yeah, just because whenever class or semester's over with, that course is already completed, that there's a lot of files of other sorts of information, and I know that's going to be used for later on. So, just like thinking about, I'm like, yeah, that I can maybe use like puzzle pieces as like an example. And these right here were like puzzle pieces to where after you create them, and then it's like thinking about, I'm like, it's not really that case to where that, oh, okay, well, you can go and throw it away now. We're done with it. Or, you can go and toss it. Well, the game's already over, so you can go ahead and toss it, recycle it. So, while we were working on each one of these, puzzle pieces, if we want to call these pictures right here, I'm like, which each one of these pictures, they could represent, a piece of what we want to use for our portfolio. And which each one of these, they could be from the 2 years of study. One of them could be for 1 year of study, and then maybe for the fifth year, and then that maybe for the first quarter or something like that. And well, like Warren Tour, that yeah, for any type of backup plan. And one of those plans, it's like that, yeah, that I think it's courteous to go ahead and within about a week or two ahead of time, 3 weeks ahead of time, for like around summertime, that you would go ahead and set a goal to where that what you want to do with any source of information, such as building your skills, and as well as for anything that you learned from higher level education. So we may think that yeah, that putting together a portfolio page, a profile, I'm sure that seems to where we may think that it's not going to happen because we don't have enough enough credits, or maybe that we don't have the right program installed, we don't have the right training. But then on your hand, for like any backup plans, that anything that we may have learned, maybe it's going to be in class, or if it's anything that that may come to our mind, such as what we want to use. So I'm sure that there's a lot of information that puts it into a portfolio page, and we may think that yeah, that there's a lot of information that maybe that we would like to use and maybe we can't use at the moment. But then one of those could be is to where that what do you want to go on the front cover of the portfolio, as well as on the inside, maybe page 1 and 2. And I don't think anybody will maybe think that you don't even have to include anything such as the health insurance, any insurance plans that you may have, as well as the driver's license, the car that you were driving, maybe the how many times per day were you taking a lunch break, or anything anything that's related to data about any course materials that I know that a few things that more likely that I know that could more likely be used for like a portfolio page, such as the courses that you've taken throughout the semester, throughout the year, and as well as if you want to go ahead and include maybe a few 1 or 2 journals that you want to share with somebody, and on anything that for like job sites. So journals, or if it's going to be anything related to notes, anything in particular, that if it's going to be anything about to help a company or a business, anybody for the career site, that help them to understand a little bit more about what you learned and what you studied, and then whenever you graduate, and then this is the type of information that you put together. So this, and it may seem like this part of the story that it's like yeah, to where to be so be real happy with it, just like a resume, to where whenever it all comes together, it just seems like to where that, yeah, a few things that may have been missing from before, but then you were able to correct it. But then you're like Warren, to where that, if something like this could have been put together maybe years ago, that you may have, heard about it or thought about it at one time, but then 5 years later that you decided, well, you don't need it. It's not necessary to put it together. You're not going to bother with it. It's too much trouble. But then at the same time, it's like for like a backup plan. One backup plan out of 10 minutes, maybe out of 10 days of a week or so, that more likely that shows some improvement, for the future. If it's going to be by next year, or by the year 2018, 19, or by 2020. By the year 2020, by summer of 2020, that more likely that somebody's going to look at this, and if it's going to be job site, and then they're going to probably say that this is what was put together right here. So that we may think that yeah, that there could have been maybe somebody who had maybe have been familiar with that same study. That if it's going to be for graphic design or web design, or if it's going to be anything else related to portfolios change, and they may tend to ask that question to her, why is it that it was changed so many times? And I guess the whole story is that it's like, for like anything that, yeah, we may want to manage our own information, such as that, yeah, that you were able to get together maybe a few baby pictures that, from, yeah, before you even started before you started school, that this is what you look like, and that this is your earlier childhood. This is what you like to do. From the first time. Your first meal. The special event. This is you were born and raised. To do this or that. This is your interest, and as well as whenever you were 4 or 5, this was your favorite book. So a lot of things that I'm sure that we can maybe tell about our story, about our dialogue, about anything about our portfolios. And we're like Warren, to where that there may be so much little information that's put together into one profile, into one portfolios. But then at the same time, it's like, yeah, that I don't know, does anybody have all day to be looking at, such as anything that you want to talk about, if it's going to be about your hobbies, and as well as maybe favorite TV shows or anything like that. But let's just say for like a backup plan is that anything that we're working on, and someday in the near future, that if it's going to be like, since then, that, if you, yeah, got married, had kids, start up a business, any type of career like that. So it's like, Warren, to where really, is it ever too late really to do this? Like, no, but on your hand, Mike may have made me suggestions to where that, yeah, back 2 years ago, that, you may not have been, a senior, you may not have been offered a position, working at some lab or some position, as for like a job management or anything like that. So after about 3 years, there could more likely be a change. After about maybe 3 months, after 3 months, there could be maybe more likely a change. And so, is this really good for anybody? Anybody who's working on anything that they do during 24 hours a day. Is this really good for anything within about the 3 weeks or 3 months or maybe 10 hours that they look back and thinking about? Is like that, yeah, that every time you turn around that there's going to be changes, and it's hard to keep track of them. It's hard to keep up with them, and I'm sure anybody like me would more likely get aggravated about it. You would get angry about it. But then on the other hand too, that really it's good to just do our best and take it one thing at a time. Yeah, and as well as for backups, is to where anything that we're working on is to have backup files and flash drives. Anything that we can think about is to keep the stuff safe and secure, because I'm sure if most of us ever heard that, to where maybe at the price the experience that pays on its own, that after the hard work that's put together just to form this portfolio. So just think about that way, is to where we may think that a lot of our hard work that don't mean nothing, but then after a few weeks or so of all of it put together, it's like for what pays for its own, is that for what we're able to manage, is like for portfolios change. Thanks for watching, Manny Make 25.